going through. And that's the analysis that the judge basically spends the first 10 pages of going through. And that's the analysis that the judge basically spends the first 10 pages of going through, saying, look, there is an actual injury. The injury is here. Plaintiffs allege that they are injured because there's an unauthorized access to their sensitive personal information. Plaintiffs assert that granting Doge and their affiliates access to this information, invades their privacy and increases their risk to identity theft. The government responds back and says identity theft. The government responds back and says, no, that's not an injury in fact. Matter of fact, there's not an injury at all. The court disagreed and said plaintiffs have alleged an injury in fact. If they alleged an injury in fact, if they didn't jump over that hurdle, there would have been no analysis of any of the other three factors that are required to grant a temporary restraining order, specifically that irreparable harm.
So Doge and Elon Musk are saying we want full clearance access to all the data so that we can see if there's any overspending or unnecessary spending. Obviously, the judge is saying you don't need all of the sensitive data. You can still make that judgment call with the amount that we are giving you. That's what they're saying, right?
Well, a couple of things. There's still not a connection, a logical step to I need the information of these individuals' personal information to see if there's government overspending or waste. Because you have a budget, so you already know what Congress has allocated for these individual agencies. You'll be able to reconcile that with what they've spent. And so I can see this is what you were allocated, this is what you've spent, and you can actually see where it was spent. So you have all the things that you need to be able to make a determination of are we overspending or not. Now, getting access to these individuals, are we overspending or not? Now, getting access to these individual private information does not further or advance your argument. And that's what the judge has also alleged. You have not actually mentioned or allocated or indicated why you need this information. How does it advance? And if you could do that, then it'll have to show it is getting what you need and advancing your agenda greater than the infringement that it will have on these individuals' personal, private information. And they weren't able to jump over that hurdle. But you don't even get to that argument because there's irreparable harm. But the judge did walk through some of that.
Okay, so Khalif, obviously we've talked about they're going at a breakneck speed here. So what comes next, right? We got a temporary restraining order, temporary. So what comes next? Is there going to be an appeal? How does this all work?
Typically, that's what happens. I mean, and so you'll grant something. Either it could be an ex parte, meaning that I haven't given the other side notice, and I just want the judge to take action. That didn't happen here. The judge allowed both parties to submit motions.